investigation by South African police into allegations or reports that Basotho nationals are receiving illegal military training in South Africa. This emerged last week in claims made by police from Maseru. Let's take this further now with Willem Els. He's a senior training coordinator with the Institute for Security Studies. Willem, good to have you on the SABC. So Lesotho is certain that these illegal military training camps exist in South Africa, where youngsters from the kingdom have basically been recruited. But the South African Police Service, even in the last 24 hours, had only said that investigations are continuing and that they had not found any such sites. Does that mean they don't exist?
Good evening to you. Yeah, we have to go on what we know. So what we know is what you just mentioned, that Lesotho has made those allegations, and to make those type of allegations, they should have some fairly good intelligence or information to work on, and we see that they share it with South Africa and the response from South Africa. So what additionally would happen is that, you know, on every border in South Africa shares all the borders of Lesotho with them in the different provinces. So every border has got their intelligence contingent, whether it is from your state security agency, the crime intelligence, but also military intelligence. So those units are active there, and they are actively sourcing intelligence and try to keep a tap on what is going there. But we also know that our borders are extremely porous. We saw that with the cattle theft back and forth and the people crossing back and forth. So those are the challenges that the South African Police Service, as well as their counterparts in Lesotho, are battling with. So that is the current situation, and until we get some feasible feedback from the National Commissioner, then you know, that is what we are working at the moment.
But what does it say, Willem, to you that at this stage, if indeed these camps exist, that the South African authorities were not able to intercept these illegal military training operations and dismantle any such campsites?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a history. We know what happened in Mpumalanga, where those camps, the camp was discovered with the Libyans, and that really was egg in the face of the intelligence fraternity and South Africa as a whole. They managed to sort that out to some extent, and that put them on alert. That placed them on alert in order to recognize some more camps. In the meantime, there were several reports about some camps. We know one about near Bella Bella that was discovered, and then it died down, all the information and everything. So that indicates to us that there is a possibility that these camps can exist, and that maybe more resources should be allocated in order to verify that, due to the urgency of the nature of the announcements.
And I'm reading from the statement released by police yesterday saying that they were investigating, or at least intensifying operations to investigate allegations that Basotho nationals were undergoing military training on South African farms as part of a growing land reclamation campaign. That land reclamation issue has come up, I think, at least twice before this year, where there are Basotho, it appears, who want to take back territory they believe South Africa has taken unlawfully from the kingdom. As far as motives go, how big of a motive would that be for a broader scale sort of fight back for the land, and what might the implications be for South Africa's national security?
Well, of course, that is reason for concern, but also there are some channels that need to be followed. So and procedures in the international community, especially with the United Nations, and also your instruments that are available to follow or to actually pursue those claims. So, but that is on a diplomatic level. What we are talking about here is that on a diplomatic level, or on a governmental level, some allegations have been made, some reports have been made, serious reports that need to be investigated on an operational level. So normally what will happen here is that your intelligence services, the police service, they will get together, they will share their information, and then the South Africans, is the onus on them to investigate and to allocate sources to do that. And that can happen overnight, depending on the clarity of the information, but it will also take some time if it is not very clear.
So we've gone several days now, at least, without South African officials being able to identify these camps or the people who are responsible. Lesotho, when these claims were initially made, by the way, it was said that they were being basically helped or had the participation of a group described as Malatanaha, so that loosely translates to people who are going to conquer and take back the land, right? So given that there's been no official identification of people involved by South African authorities or the sites themselves, has that given enough time potentially to the people involved to then maybe move, dismantle their operations and shift elsewhere?
You know, these are a lot of allegations, as we mentioned, but what happens, you know, whenever you have an operation like that, it leaves a trace, it leaves a mark, and it leaves evidence behind. It doesn't matter how much you try to clean it up and to clear your tracks. So whenever they receive this type of information, with good investigation and all resources, they will be able to find out what happened there, and they will also be able to find leads in order to pursue this investigation.
And how vulnerable is South Africa, Willem, at this stage to infiltration threat by paramilitaries, potential terrorist organizations? I mean, the Financial Intelligence Center had flagged us before, right, for terror financing, for instance. You referenced those nearly 100 Libyans who were found at a similar training site in Mpumalanga, etc. What does that tell us about the level of vulnerability that this country faces for infiltration by people of ill intent?
Yeah, I think it was a wake-up call, the 100 Libyans that you just mentioned, but also the fact that South Africa is still on the grey list, the FATF grey list, for terror funding as well as the laundering of money, and we had to get our act in order. So South Africa has gone a long way in order to clear our act and to tick all the boxes. So we are in a good position to be removed from the grey list later this year. There will be mutual evaluation again, and so on. So that, on the one hand, that is a positive that we have, but we also must understand that one of our biggest vulnerabilities in South Africa is our porosity of our borders. And that is not only the unmanned borders, the limited resources, limited manpower, etc. It's also the levels of corruption within your state-embedded actors that are actually allowing these people, whether it is from terrorist organizations, whether it's from criminal syndicates, whether it's illegal immigrants, etc., etc., that actually creates the biggest problem for South Africa, and creates that, you know, whether it is our seaports, whether it is our airports or our land borders, that creates a serious challenge for us and makes us extremely vulnerable.
Willem Els, good to talk to you as always. Willem is a senior training coordinator with the Institute for Security Studies.